Happy Sunday. This is Jensen with Soft Edges, and we're fancy now. We have mics. I could not listen to another one of my videos without mics. They were just like so awful. I don't know how people do it. They probably don't. They probably use mics, and that's why their videos sound so fucking good. Anyways, here we are. This is the week ahead reading for the week of December 15th through the 21st, 2025. Holy shit, we're here. We're in the third week of December. Oh my God, we're close to, how many days are we till the end of the year? I can't math, but like it's close, right? Jesus. Yeah, it's been a doozy. I just want to start by saying like I've totally missed doing these intros. I miss just like having a sort of like dialogue in here. If you want the hard and fast card reading, I'm going to try my best. I forget a lot to put a little timestamp so you can skip to that. And if you want to hear me babble a little bit about astrology and about life and about the energies, hang out with me for a little bit. So I'm going to be looking over here because I have my calendar, my ephemeral calendar. Love, love, love. Can't say enough about it. Yeah, there's a lot going on this week. Not to mention, man, have you felt swirly and out of it and like you can't get clarity and you don't know where you're supposed to be or what you're doing and you can't remember the thing you were just going to say or why you walked into that room or what you were just going to get? Because that's the energy. It's been wild. Oh my gosh, it's been wild. Neptune stationed direct last week and I was like, oh, this will be great. This will be like moving the Neptunian, like ethereal energy forward. And I don't know if it's because it's like still right now. Excuse me. It feels like just so focused. Like all of a sudden I'm like, there's some confusion in communication. There's confusion in just like my thinking. A lot of like Mercury, Neptune interactions I've been wondering about. Yeah, it's just been swirly and I wonder if you've been feeling that too. I really hope to have a break in that soon. We'll see. We have a lot going on this week. I'm looking at the calendar again and I just see a lot of red, which isn't bad, but it's just telling me there's a lot of squares. Like I think, yeah, the Sun squares Saturn at the beginning of the week. We have Mercury squaring the nodes. Sun is squaring Neptune. Oh gosh, that'll be interesting. The Sun enters Capricorn this week. Can you believe we're through Sagittarius season basically? Wild. I don't know if I said this already. I've started a course and it's for 7 months and it is going to require a lot of my focus and time. So I don't know that I'm going to continue to do the new and full moon readings. Let me know if like you would really like that and I'll do my best. But I think for now I'm going to conserve my energy and just do the week ahead readings because I really love these and the seasonal reading. So with the Sun moving into Capricorn on the 20th, that's next Saturday. Yeah, I'll definitely be doing a video for that. Yeah, we have the solstice. How exciting. Oh my gosh. I love winter solstice. I love Yule. I love this time of year, even though I know I love it and it's challenging, right? There's just so many changes and there's a lot of expectations and places to be and things to do. But when I like drop into the practices of this season, the practices of like wintering, so like slowing down and lighting candles and being in light as much as I can. And by light, I don't mean like overhead lighting. I mean like soft lighting, being around things that light me up because, yeah, we're in the slowdown and what is sustaining us through this wintering. That's fun to think about and just, a time for gratitude. You know, there's been so much going on this year and there's just not everything. There is a lot of things that I feel really challenging right now. And where do we still find hope and gratitude and trust and faith? And yeah, it's like some of the themes I think about with the solstice. Yeah. I've been like dripping or like saying I'm going to post a Mercury retrograde wrap-up video with my friend Eliza. It's recorded. I need to edit it. It's super long, but it was such a rich conversation about how astrology plays out in our lives. It was so good. Mercury will get out of its shadow period on, I think it's the 15th or the 16th I have to look that up, but hopefully I'll have this or have it recorded and dropped by then. That'll be really fun. I'm excited to see what people think of videos like that. Just the way astrology lands in our day-to-day lives, like having it more embodied. This Mercury retrograde was brutal. It was brutal. I know so many people, especially even people who watch these videos, thank you so much, who talk about just like so much tech issues and just stuff being uncovered. And it's been brutal. So, yeah, I'm just thinking of everyone in this time. And, yeah, so anyways, I'm dang, but lots going on this week, lots of squares, lots of like tension, but it just feels so much like wrap up energy. Like, let's like wrap up this year. I think most people are like ready to be fucking done. And though I'm not someone who believes that like, all right, it's January 1st and fresh start, new me, new everything. And it doesn't change all of the stuff that's going on in the world and the collective. I am feeling like there's going to be a collective shift in some kind where people, I don't know. I just feel like there's going to be a shift. I can't really explain it. There is some like pretty interesting astrology happening in the beginning of January, which obviously we'll get to when we get there. But yeah, until then, we just have some friction, it looks like this week, that it's just going to show us where our boundaries are, where we can wrap up and be better with communication. Mars is moving into Capricorn. We love that Mars likes being in Capricorn. It'll bring a sustaining, a grounding in some way that feels really much needed, right? So anyways, let's get into the cards. So this is what we have for our energy of the week this week. While I was light weaving to just get the energy of what we can expect, I saw two things that I thought were really interesting, and I think we get to decide how it resonates for each of us differently. The first one was I saw ribbon candy. And one thing it makes me think of is nostalgia and just old times, old memories, especially like related to this time of year. And then it also makes me think of the way that like the ribbon of time or memory or just like situations, how they're just like always touching in this like ripple. I don't really know. I don't really know what that means. It's just what the angels showed me while I was doing that. And then the second thing feels really important is, and especially because like these are our cards, the weekend feels very curious. I did pull some oracle cards that also feel kind of intense, and we'll talk about these. But what I was really being shown was like the energy is going to feel like this ribbon in some way, and how important it is to just like come back to center. And how can we remind ourselves to do that this week? It'll be really important. Let's get into it. Wow, I'm like trying to catch my breath. The energy feels interesting. So, the beginning of the week, so Monday, Tuesday, we have, oh, this deck is so lovely. Let me see if I can find, it's the Tarot of the Drowning World. I just love these creators. They're just like, honestly, some of my favorite. So we have the Six of Swords. And the Six of Swords typically talks about like moving on from something. Like, again, if you remember the reading from last week, we had the Three of Swords. So like we were moving through something that felt really challenging, like a hard lesson. And then having to come to terms with like, all right, this is my life now, knowing this truth, knowing this reality, and what now? So that energy felt really intense. And I remember we were wrapping up the week with the Emperor, like having to be diplomatic. And I think part of diplomacy is like knowing when to move on from a situation. And I think we're still doing that this week, the beginning of this week, like dealing with the consequences of last week. And I'm always drawn to, when I get this card, this like dragonfly that is moving. It's in motion, right? And I'm going to go look in my book really quick to see what dragonfly means, because I'm being really called to do that right now. So I just looked up what dragonfly means in animal speak. Ted Andrews, like, must have for symbolism, I feel like. And the dragonfly speaks of the power of light, which I really love. And in the book it says, life is never quite the way it appears, but it always is filled with light and color. Dragonfly can help you see through the illusions and thus allow your own light to shine forth. Dragonfly brings the brightness of transformation and the wonder of colorful new vision, which I also love because I looked up cattail as well in another Ted Andrews book, The Nature Speak. And what he talks about is dragonfly as spreading the seeds for new growth and not to limit your endeavors now. So there's so much about this card and the symbolism of this card at the beginning of the week about, like, oh, and the seed that wanted to come through for today. This is a scarlet runner bean. And just thinking about, so you've had challenge. It's been like a really challenging A, year, B, period of time. And just the power of being able to move on and not limiting yourself as you do that. Just like understanding that there is time for transformation. How do you create light of the situation? Because we're in this wintering, we're in this like darkness of time. And I talked in the introduction about like finding the light, being in light during this time of year. And the beginning of the week really speaks to this need to find your own light and what's lighting you up. And it's really internal. We really need to potentially refrain from like putting our light into other people and instead being like, how can I resource myself now? So that's the beginning of the week. Thinking about new seeds, new endeavors, moving on. What is bringing us light at this time of year? Where are any self-limiting beliefs in this area? Yeah, I love that. Next, we have a lot of major arcana this week. Can we just like mention that too as well? And next we have the moon. And I love this moon card because it's so peaceful. It's like the dark of the moon, right? And this is a curious energy because I would not consider a Sagittarius new moon as so peaceful, but there's something about the peacefulness of this card surrounding the new moon that's coming midweek. So this is for our card for Wednesday, Thursday. And we're still moving on from emotional waters. Oh my gosh. Do you feel like you're drowning? I feel like it's almost appropriate that I would have chosen like a deck that's called Tarot of the Drowning World. Like, in what ways are you feeling flooded? Yeah, I'm really feeling called to look up what the hydrangeas mean. So this is hilarious or not, but I ended up like trying to look up what hydrangea meant in a book. I didn't understand. I opened up my Soulflower plant deck. This was the card on top, and it's hydrangea transmutation. So again, we're talking about like this transmuting energy. We are all affected by our environment. Hydrangea reminds us to reclaim your power through the transmuting of emotions and releasing of victimization. You not only have the ability to overcome perceived obstacles, you can extinguish them by realizing you can move through them. So much around this, like moving through something that has felt challenging for you. Big invitation here to rest this moon cycle, just like through this new moon. It's really expansive, and in order for you to realize where you want to expand, there is really a sense of having to again come back to our center and check in with where we're at. Big culminations that have been occurring recently, and again, I'm seeing the ribbon and like all the things that are touching in the ways that like how this like fragility of ribbon candy too is making me think of something right now too, and just I don't know. I'm hearing like the fragility of the timeline and yeah, just the ways in which sometimes it needs to shatter and break into a million pieces in order to be experienced by more people. Very interesting. That's such a strange message to come through. Yeah, I'm doing a lot of little. So let me just like recap. Monday, Tuesday, we have moving through an emotional situation that we've experienced over the last couple weeks. We're continuing to move through it, and we're being invited to like find our light and come back to center and be able to have the strength to move towards something and plant new seeds, which is perfect, which comes into the middle of the week, Wednesday, Thursday, when we have the new moon in Sagittarius and we have the moon. And like the moon card in general is our subconscious. So having to get really quiet and go within to figure out what do we need to, again, transmute in order to move into the next part of this timeline. Gosh, the 2026, the astrology is really like awakening. It's the year of the magician. It's the one. And what magic are we creating? The magician also talks about like as above, so below. So like, how are we experiencing our day-to-day lives, and how does that actually reflect how we're feeling inside? Perfect moon to reflect on that and call in what you really want to come in. The weekend is really interesting. I was like shuffling and shuffling and shuffling, and it kind of said, the energy was like, nothing is yet in place. Nothing is yet in place. And so let's just talk about what we have. We have the Four of Cups reversed. Let's just like look at the imagery too. We have cauliflower, and we have this lamb that feels sacrificed, right? We have these tomatoes, these like vegetables and fruits just like bobbing. So if in this direction, the Four of Cups always makes me think of like apathy and just feeling really not satisfied in so many ways. I get a sense that we don't even know what we're not satisfied about. We just feel unsatisfied this weekend. And we're like, what the fuck? To further reiterate that, we have the Tower, where we have this cage. What's in the cage? Interesting. It looks like a ball of yarn with like, some maybe like scarlet tangers, and we also have this cage here. Just bunches of cages. We have the Tower, and we have Madame Lulu, which is like a card that's exclusive to this deck. What a feeling of surrendering. I'll have to look this up. But again, if we're not even sure what we're feeling apathetic about, then when things fall away and we're devastated, we don't realize that in surrendering, the medicine that's actually available to us, because we don't even know what we're upset about in the first place. We don't even know what we don't like. We just feel like we don't like everything. And so this felt really intense. I felt really apprehensive to share these, but I need to. So I asked like, where are we operating with this energy? And we have anger, revenge, and hate. Oh, man, just like feel that in your body for a moment. When I check in with mine, I am feeling it like in my calves and just like feeling this like tightness happening. Like I don't know how to move forward because I'm crippled by these emotions. Gosh, the magic that became available though is release. And again, I feel like that's the medicine of Madame Lulu this week, is how to just surrender to the things that feel like they're falling away, that we didn't feel like we were ready for, but we didn't realize we didn't want them anyways. There's so much freedom. I'm noticing in both these cards, her like opened, or I'll say they're opened arms to what's coming, what's available. The white makes me think of just like purity, which, sorry, I don't feel like that's not really fair, but something that I'm noticing just now in this card is, I don't know if you can see it, but there's like mushrooms right here. And there was, I'm getting ready for this reading, and I've been like casting charms and stuff. And a charm that came through was the mushroom. And the mushrooms always indicate to me another example of transmutation and just being able to work with what's decomposing, to work with what's dying. It also makes me think of communication across all ways of being, right? Like I'm getting the sense of in the surrender, can you go within? Can you like be both in the world and like living your emotional experiences and also connecting with higher selves, angels and guides, plants, animals? Like there's just like a desire in this mushroom to communicate with something bigger than us. I also got like the tooth came out, and the tooth made me think of like, oops, it's funny. Again, we're in the ritual space. Anything that happens in the ritual space is part of the ritual. Knocking this with like the tooth coming down is I just got like a tooth being knocked out is how can we actually feel relief? Sorry, I'm going to move all this. So if we didn't know what was bothering us, but we just felt like we're just fucking pissed about shit, and then the shit was falling apart, and then if the shit is the tooth, like this rotten tooth came out and actually relieves us a pain that we didn't know we were experiencing because we just couldn't name it. We couldn't figure out where it was coming from. And then instead, so like, and then the final charm was this bone. And instead, we're able to fortify where we're going next. Mars is finally in Capricorn. Mars loves being in Capricorn. I talked about this in the intro. And there's a fortifying that's happening. So through the surrendering and through the like release of all the tension in the fascia, we have this like strengthening that's occurring now that we've gotten down to the bones of what was ready to fall away. Gosh, there's so much going on here. This week feels full. That's just what I have to say about that. I'm going to read really quick and see if Madame Lulu has any other further messages to share with us. Yeah, just as I'm flipping through the book too, when I just saw the write-up for the Tower, it talks about that this can be the destruction of oppressive structures and the transformation that's available when we didn't realize we were bound, right? It also talks about a reversal of power and energies. I love thinking about just through the surrender of what's falling away, like regaining our power. So much stillness and beauty in this. Wow. So I'm like using this gorgeous guidebook for this deck, and it talks about Madame Lulu as knowledge, the medicine here. Know yourself, know your surroundings, know your history, and know many different kinds of people, places, and things to acquire the deepest and wisest knowledge. This is actively seeking. Be open to and expect to learn or experience new things. There's something about in navigating whatever is falling away, we really learn about where we're at and who we are. I think that, again, if we can be super mindful about being embodied this week, that some of these more challenging emotions that have been kind of running our lives, and I think this is a collective too, like anger and revenge and hate, and how like these are actually coming from these like teeny parts of us, these wounded parts of us. Again, I'm thinking about like this ribbon candy of just letting it shatter and releasing it and letting it become medicine. Wow, this was not a light reading this week, huh, friends? I've been keeping like hoping like, all right, angels, can we have some like light energy? Can I bring hope? And the thing is like there is so much hope in here. I think if we can really remember the medicine that is Madame Lulu, that is knowledge, that is the ways that we can feel into our own knowing. Oh, I'm really like lightheaded right now. So what I'm hearing and feeling into this like lightheadedness is the dissolving of this thing that was rotten and painful, making way for being able to get to the bone, the root of the issue, and knowing through communicating with ourselves, our higher selves, our angels, our guides, the people around us, that we're able to navigate what's ahead. I also love that Bear wanted to be part of the message today, because Bear really reminds us, oh, and he's missing an ear. It's really interesting. And what that makes me think of is stop taking in so much input and trust yourself And in order to do that, you have to go within. You have to like trust the stillness. Big, long reading this week. I kind of loved this, to be honest, even though the energy is quite intense. Step lightly into your week this week. There's a lot of like feet exposed. Step gently and lightly into your week this week and know the capacity for growth and transformation and the planting of seeds that is available through the destruction, the things that are falling away. Trust it. Trust yourself. Thanks so much for being here. Happy Yule, happy solstice. Good luck, and I'll see you on the other side.